Today I'm going to speak about my preferred way of wearing the sari. There are many different ways of draping a sari, and each region of India has its own specialty. This is, however, the commonest form, where the pallu or the achal is draped over the left shoulder going towards the back. And interestingly, this style of wearing a sari was started by Gyanodhan Nandini, who was Rabindranath Tagore's sister-in-law, the same person who created quadruples back in the day when she pillion rode a horse with her husband through the streets of old Calcutta. I am absolutely obsessed with saris, and I probably have at least 150 of them. Probably about 90% of them are authentic handloom ones. And this is my preference. This is how I like to wear my saris. I like to keep my pallu loose. I don't like to keep them pleated. Most of my saris are made of beautiful fabrics and they have wonderful handmade designs, and I really would want to show them off as much as I can. Also, the other thing I'm very particular about is the pleats. I want them to be run right from the center, and I want them to be properly, all the folds to be properly in place, so that when I walk, when I make my strides, the pleats will gently be kicked by my feet. Before we proceed, let's quickly recap the things we need in order to wear a sari. You will of course need a sari, that's a basic minimum. You will need blouse, something for the top part. Now, fun fact, back in the olden days, women used to wear saris without any kind of blouse, but that was the time of parda, where women folk were not allowed to come out in public and they used to remain inside their homes all the time. They were not allowed to face any other man apart from their husband. Thankfully, that time has passed, and so has the fashion of wearing a sari without a blouse, inspired by the Western blouses that were worn by the British women of the colonial era. Some women of the more progressive households of India, they started wearing Western style blouses along with their saris. Gradually, they evolved, they metamorphosed, and now we have this blouse, this is a very traditional sari blouse. The length of the sleeves is a matter of personal preference. It usually has got a round neck as well, round at the back, and it is like a crop top. It doesn't cover the entire midriff. The midriff traditionally is left bare in a sari. And of course, the blouse is well fitted, so it is tailored and it fits well with your body. But you can play around. I mean, fashion is all about individuality, and nowadays many of my friends, many of my peers have started wearing saris with shirts, with just random western tops, crop tops. Of course, I wear them with crop tops when I'm in London at times and I don't have matching blouses with my saris. But anyway, that's about blouses. The other thing that we need is something called petticoat, that is worn, that is not visible from outside, that is worn inside the sari. So petticoats are like long skirts that is a form of innerwear. Now, the petticoat has to match the color of the bottom part of the sari. Unless the sari is made of very thick material where the color of the petticoat will not be visible. If it's any other kind of material, the color of the petticoat will show through the fabric of the lower part of the sari, and it may alter the original color. So it's preferable, it's desirable that the colors of these two more or less match. The other thing that I have to mention is about the material of the petticoat. Now, this one is satin, this one is cotton. My personal preference is cotton. My mother, she prefers satin, and when I got married, she made a number of these for me in different colors, all made of satin. But honestly, I find satin to be so uncomfortable. It makes my legs feel hot and warm and sweaty, and I just do not like the feel. I always prefer cotton. The petticoat is the part of the entire sari ensemble that holds the waist pleats together and keeps the long fabric in place. So in the waist portion, you've got to have either a string or an elastic, whatever it is, it has to be quite snugly fitted. You can't have a loosely hanging waist of your petticoat, because the minute you tuck your pleats and your fabric in them, by the sheer weight of the sari fabric, your petticoat may cause an embarrassing wardrobe malfunction. And you don't want that. Also of note, the petticoat is quite long and it should at least reach up to your ankles, just above where the sari width ends. The last thing that we'll need for the sari wearing my style is a safety pin. Just one. I use just one. For the demonstration today, I'm going to use this sari, which is a Bengal handloom sari, colloquially known as a tat. Now these saris can be a bit challenging to wear, and hence I chose this one for the tutorial today. First and foremost, I will ask you to have a look at your sari and then figure out which is the outer side, the side that faces the outside world, and which side faces your skin. Now if you have a close look at the motifs and the design, obviously it's like wrapping paper basically. The one that looks fancier, that looks more perfect, is the one that should be outside, and the one that may have threads hanging out or may have some more irregularities is the inner side. If it's a very good quality handloom saris, then the inside motif may look the same as the outside one. In that case, you really need to look hard at the motifs to figure out which side is what. Also, most saris have a different design towards the pallu side, towards this side, and you can just open the sari, have a good look. As you can see here, this design looks different from the rest of the body, doesn't it? So this design has to be the pallu, and that stays to your left. Also, if your sari is prepared for you to wear, there are a few things that tailors or sari shop salespeople do to your sari to make sure that they last really long. And one of them is to attach a thin strip of fabric towards the lower part of the bottom half, so that the lower part is really well protected. Mind you, this is the part of the sari that is constantly going to rub against the ground, and it's important that they don't tear. Also, adding the fall means adding a little extra weight to the bottom part, and just as the name fall explains, it gravity works on it, and really the drape looks quite graceful. It falls down, it doesn't fly around here and there. I'm now ready to wear my sari. As you can see, I've got a blouse on, but obviously this does not look like the traditional blouse I just showed you. This kind of blouse is in very broad terms called the designer sari blouses, so that's what I'm going to wear today. I've also got my petticoat on. This is a pale yellow color, not exactly the same color as my sari, but quite similar. My sari, if you can see, is quite see-through, but if I put it on top of my petticoat, the color of my sari is not altering, which means that this color petticoat will work. It may not be of the same color, but it should be similar. Also, the other thing that I have to tell you, that wear your shoes first before you start draping your saris, especially if you plan to wear heels. My personal preference is that I want my saris really long. I want them to cover my footwear, and if I wear my heels after I drape my saris, then often I find out that the sari has become too short. If you are not comfortable wearing saris, and I do know that it's more difficult, it's more challenging to walk wearing saris that are really long because the bottom part is constantly going to sweep the floor, in that case you may wish to keep your saris a bit shorter, but nevertheless it's always preferable to wear your footwear before you start draping. So I've got my sari here, and the first thing I have to do is identify what the right side is. There are 3 pointers, I've mentioned them, but just a quick recap. Look at the motifs. The one that looks more perfect is going to be towards outside. Look at the falls. If they have been stitched to your saris, they are going to be at the bottom. And identify the pallu, which is going to have a slightly different design or a radically different design. This is the pallu. This is going to be towards your left. So this is my left, your right, and I'm going to throw the pallu over that side. And I already know that this is the side that faces the outside world, and this is going to face me. So I'm going to start with the corner that is furthest from the pallu area, the upper corner furthest from the pallu area. I'm going to hold it, and I'm going to tuck it in the right side of my waist. I've mentioned before that I want my sari to cover my footwear, and if you look towards the bottom, my heels are not visible. And I'm going to tuck it. Now, I'm not the tallest person on earth, so for most saris, I really have to tuck hard. I'm going to keep tucking, making a 360-degree turn, all the while making sure that my footwear remains covered. If necessary, I have to pull the sari a little bit down. Okay, that's it, 360-degree turn made. Now I am just going to go towards the pallu side. Okay, make a quick bunch with the width of the pallu, just a quick rough bunch like this. Hold it with my left hand, take it towards my back, pass the baton or this bunch of pallu to my right hand, bring it forward, hang it over my left shoulder, and here I am going to decide how long I want my pallu to be. Now I like things really traditional. I'm an old timer for most of the things that include sari wearing, and I like my pallus to be really long. I'm not fond of the, what decade was it, 60s or 70s Bollywood fashion where the actresses used to wear really short pallu. I'm not fond of that fashion, so for most of my saris I want the pallu long. So this is how long the pallu is going to be. I'm going to leave it here and forget about it. Going back to the rest of the fabric that has formed a circle around my waist. Okay, I'm going to go back to the side which was tucked. Okay, and from that side I'll start making pleats. Now how do I make pleats? Let me turn and show it to you. I'm a right-handed person, so I use my index finger and middle finger of my right hand to hold one side of the pleat, the thumb and ring finger to hold the other side, and this is how wide my pleats are going to be. The little finger is going to remain free. So I'll hold the free side of the fabric, bring it towards the thumb side, use the thumb to hold both the layers, take it back to the index side, use the index and middle to hold the added layer, once again take it back to the thumb, use the thumb to hold the extra layer, going back to the index, using the index to hold it in place. This way I am going to reach up to the end of the extra fabric that I had around my waist, the fabric that was meant for the pleats anyway. Okay, that brings me to the end. Now mind you, this is all, they look quite bloated. I'm going to leave it like that now. This is typical with Bengal cotton handloom, and that's why many sari virgins find it difficult to wear. Precisely the reason why I chose this sari, because I want to demonstrate how I wear these so that you may find it useful and easy when you decide to wear it the next time. Now that I've got all the pleats held in place at the top, I'm gently going to shake it, let gravity work as much as possible to get the folds in place. Okay, now looking at my length, I think this much of my sari fabric has to be tucked in. So I need to do the plaits up to here at least to begin with. I'm going to go from the top till the part where it will be tucked and make sure that the pleats are well done up to that part. Do like a gentle hand press to keep it in place, and then tuck this one in. Okay, now this part. Now many people ask the husband, friend, sister, daughter, mother, somebody to hold the lower pleats in place. I don't. I'm a strong, independent woman and I do not need anyone, not even to hold my sari pleats in place. And this is how I do it myself. I start from the top, going towards the bottom. I have a couple of useful tips. Many saris will have either a vertical line design or some kind of design that when joined together will form a vertical line, like these small motifs. If you can see, I do know that if when joined together, this is going to form a vertical line, and that imaginary line will be perpendicular to the lower part, the lower rim of the sari. You probably have guessed that I've studied science in school. Anyway, so if I find any such line or any such motif, I'm going to join those together. Okay, that's it. Easy peasy for this one because I managed to find these booties or the motifs. The next one has no design, so I just have to go with my gut and I just have to figure out how to make that fold. But if I follow the top part, it's quite easy really. The third fold. I hope it's not difficult to understand. I'm trying to go really slow because most of the times, honestly, it doesn't take more than 2 or 3 minutes for me to wear saris. But I'm really trying to go slow so that everyone understands. I've got a little bit of motif here too, and I'm just going to follow the motif to make sure that that straight line is formed again. The other tip I have to make pleats is that whenever I get a chance, whenever I see a natural fold in place when I'm doing my pleats, I use that fold for a pleat. Hold all the pleats together, do a little bit of hand press. That's it, done. Now back to the pallu. Just remove it from my shoulder, open up the folds and take it again over my left shoulder. I've told you before that I do not like my pallu pleated. I like it to hang loose. This is the time when I'm going to use the safety pin. The only pin that I use for wearing saris is a pin over my left shoulder connecting the blouse with the pallu of the sari. I've got really droopy shoulders and nothing stays in place, not even handbags. That's why I prefer to wear backpacks and crossbody bags. But if you're lucky with straight shoulders like my mother doesn't even need a pin, and I've never seen her pallu fall here and there. See, she somehow manages to keep it in place without any pin whatsoever. So my sari draping is now done. Now because this is a very heavily starched cotton fabric, it is slightly flowy. If you have a different kind of material, if you have silk, it's going to cling more to your body. So how your sari is going to look at the end of the day depends a lot on the material. But if you follow these steps, you can wear almost any kind of sari with ease. Believe me, this is probably one of the most difficult kind of saris to wear. And if wearing this sari by this method is easy, then any other sari is. The only one thing that I forgot to mention, my own personal preference, I talked about it at the beginning that I want my pleats to be right at the middle. So when I tuck my pleats in, I tuck it just below the belly button so that it's right at the middle. I know lots of people tucking more towards the left or more towards the right. Good for them. It's just not something that I like. Hope this was a useful video. We do have many such interesting, fun and useful things in our channel. So please don't forget to subscribe. I really hope to see you next. Bye.